Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining. My name is Michael Bourgeois. I'm the Director of Sales and Engineering here at Deltek. And for the next 35 to 40 minutes, I want to give you a quick tour of Vision 7.1. Let's start here in your dashboard. The idea of a dashboard is based upon who you are, the role you serve inside of your organization, and the security rights we give to that role. We're then going to go ahead and give you a display into the most business critical things and the things you need instant access to within the confines of your login page or your dashboard. The beauty of this is everything that we're doing, no matter what role we serve, project management, business development, accounting, time and expense user, everything that we're doing within the Vision application is coming down into one real-time SQL database. And a great way to display that is here inside of Key Financial Metrics. In real time, whether I'm looking at a part of my business or my entire business, I'm able to go ahead and see how well we're performing in each one of the metrics I define that are important to me to keep my finger on the pulse of that organization. As I come back into my dashboard, if I come up here and actually click refresh, the nice thing about this is it's going back into that SQL database to get a view into the most up-to-date financial numbers being displayed and held within that SQL environment. One's dashboard is completely defined by whatever they need. So if you're a left brain person or you're a right brain person, you want to go ahead and see things more in a column-based report, you want to go ahead and see things more graphically, the idea is we give you the tool sets within configuration to go ahead and make this dashboard whatever you and your users then need. I like this one down here. This gives us some great visibility into projects that are actually associated to a fixed fee. There's not a lot of time and materials work out there anymore. So one of the things that we need to do is we need to manage our projects more effectively and be efficient in how we're actually spending our money. So we're being able to see in real time how much we build, what we're allowed to build, and essentially how much is it costing us. This concept is giving you great insight that, for example, in this project here, you've billed more than what the client is allowing. You've also spent more than what the client's allowing. So just quick and instant visibility into perhaps the things that exist inside of your portfolio that need your attention. That's the idea of any good dashboarding tool or any good business intelligence tool. It's the instant recognition into an issue within your portfolio or within your office or your discipline. Another great tool to actually help you with that is visualization. Here within visualization, the grouping is actually representing a portfolio. As I hover over that portfolio view, it gives me the underlying metrics that I feel are most important to help me run that portfolio. As I go down into the lower levels, I can then see how well an individual project that resides in that portfolio is performing, again, against the metrics that I've defined. But what we're doing is we're doing something greater than that here. We're actually letting size illustrate something. So the bigger the block relative to the other blocks within that portfolio or within the view, the more it's actually worth back to the firm in the form of compensation or net fee. So you can instantly figure out what are the projects that are more business critical back to the organization based upon the amount of fee it's driving back into the organization. And then what we also do with colors, we let it illustrate, in this example, profit. So if I told you blue's a good color and red's a bad color, we can see this project has profitability of almost 1.3 million, where this project over here has negative 3,000 profitability. So the idea and the concept here is let's go ahead and identify that we may be doing 5 projects, we may be doing 50 or maybe 500. We now get to see quick, fast, and easy what are the things that need our attention. But the beauty of this tool is it's live. So if I now want to go ahead and focus in on, well, where do my AR issues exist? Again, red's a bad color. We have a massive red block right here. This is now gravitating and showing me where do I need to go ahead and focus. Denver Engineering has a collection issue. Well, let's go ahead and quickly see who has that collection issue. So you can flip the grouping over to Project Manager, and we now see that Alexander Dane is the person we need to go ahead and hunt down to get an understanding of why isn't he collecting on his jobs. Or we can even take it a step further and say, well, what project manager can't bill to save his or her life? So we now see that William Berry has an issue where he cannot get an invoice out the door. So if I start thinking about where in my portfolio are the risks existing, this is a tool that's bubbling up to the surface without having to run that 15 and 20 page report. If you do want underlying and supporting data as to why this exists, it's a simple right click as to where we can run any of our standard reports right off the back of this visualization screen. Now I said earlier, Any good business intelligence tool will give you instant recognition into a problem inside of your portfolio. We actually have a complete module that's called Vision Performance Management. You can actually check out that webcast on our webpage, the same webpage where you saw this webcast posted. And the idea here is we're now getting some more trends and multiplier views at an executive level back into our database. So if I go ahead and benchmark my business against effective multiplier, I can go ahead and ensure that my target is to try and achieve a 3.0 multiplier. In this given instance, I'm actually achieving 4.43. So within the Vision application, using our Vision Performance Management module, we're enabling you and allowing you to benchmark where are you supposed to be performing against how you're actually going ahead and achieving. Same thing with profit. You set the bar very low here. You want to go ahead and get at least 3% profit. In all the projects that we're looking at here, we're actually close to 36%. But the beauty of this is it gives you not only some good indications as to how well you're performing against your benchmark, but it also lets you to allow you to come in here and slice and dice it at any point. So if I really wanted to go ahead and see things just for, say, medical projects, I can come up here and use one of my predefined on-demand filters where I can go ahead and now slice and dice this into a different view and see how well is just maybe that project type doing. Or I can go ahead and hone on just maybe a particular project manager. What we're also doing is we're giving you a nice view into trend analysis. So many times accounting systems, just standard accounting systems, give you a great view into what is happening today or what has happened in the future. What we want to go ahead and do is give you some insight into what's going to happen downstream. And one of the good indicators to how the business is going to perform downstream is a good trend analysis as to how you've actually performed up till today. So we're actually being able to see how effective multiplier has actually grown from 6.17 over the last 3 years up to 21.29. A bit exaggerated, but that's the beauty of sample databases. Same thing with revenue. We have an issue here where our revenue was higher back in 2011 compared to where we are in 2013, yet our effective multiplier is going up. Again, there's a lot of other different businesses or business ideas that are probably substantiating that trend in that historical curve. But the idea is within the confines of one single dashboard, you're able to go ahead and get an understanding of how is my business trending against all the different components that I benchmark my business against. Come back into the dashboard. A couple other things. Reports. So many times people have siloed data centers. People are doing reports in Excel. People are doing reports in an Access-based system. People are getting reports from multiple systems because they're running best-of-breed applications. The idea of our reporting structure is consistency and standardization across your entire enterprise. So whether you're 15 people, you're 5,000 people, when we go ahead and click on any one of these reports, it renders down into a format that we've agreed about at the firm level. And now everyone, when they click on a particular report, they're going to go ahead and see the data that's relevant to just them in the role that they serve, but it's going to be in the same exact format that all the other project managers, all the other business developers are then looking at. And once you get into the report, there's some greater analysis there. You have the ability to go ahead and drill down with anything that's colored blue in any of our standard reports. And then finally, we're a global workforce these days. You know, you could go ahead and be a 50-man person, but have people scattered all over the country. And the idea is we need to go ahead and give people insight into what are the business critical things that need their attention based upon what's stored in Vision. So we have the whole concept of alerts. We can go ahead and tell you some of your invoices have been rejected. Some of them are actually waiting for approval. One of our opportunities is actually advanced in its probability up to 60%. Your timesheet's overdue by 1 day. Whatever your business process is, Vision can help you automate it and distribute that information out to the people who need to take action of something within the application. And they don't have to be in Vision to get those alerts. Those alerts can actually render down into their inbox as well. So that's the dashboard. The dashboard, again, the concept of dashboards is defined by you. Everything that we do here within the dashboard is all driven by configuration. To get to this dashboard that I've just gone ahead and shown you here was truly configuration, no customization. And that's one of the true value propositions about Deltek Vision. It is a system of configuration, not customization. So let's go ahead and start jumping into a project lifecycle. That's the true value proposition around Deltek Vision. It's the idea that we're automating your entire project lifecycle, again, back into one real-time SQL database. So there's no redundant entry. There's greater knowledge share. There's less rekeying of information. So let's go ahead and start in the world of business development under opportunity management. And the project that we're going to go ahead and focus on as we evolve around a project in its life cycle is the Benson Research Lab. So here inside of the Benson Research Lab, there's a number of things that I'm going ahead and doing. First, I want to go ahead and identify who are all my key stakeholders. So who are the people essentially going to help execute on this project? Who are the people that we're going to contract with in the event we win it? Who are the people perhaps responsible for generating and producing a proposal? And we do have a fully blown proposal automation tool. One of those webcasts is available, again, on the same landing page within our website to get a greater drill down into that functional area of the application. Today we're going to go ahead and just focus on the highlights. So one of the things that I think is important when it comes to understanding how well the business is performing from an opportunity and a pipeline perspective is really identifying where inside of your organization does this opportunity exist. And how is that opportunity going to be spread from a revenue perspective over its expected timeline? So here we can go ahead and see that it's being done out of Cohen Associates, it's actually being done out of Chicago, and we allocated it here into the environmental group. This organizational structure is yours to define. We go 5 levels deep. The idea is you can slice and dice this organizational structure however you want to get visibility into how well is the business performing at an office level, at a service line level, at a discipline level, or perhaps even at a company level. The true bread and butter of opportunity management is this function right here, revenue. We think that if we win this project, it's worth $2.5 million, pounds, euros, whatever it is. Right now, we're gauging our success and probability of success at 80% because we've been shortlisted. So simple math, 2.5 million times 80 gives us a weighted revenue of 2 million flat. That 2 million flat is then spread out over the anticipated start and completion of this project. The beauty of this is the information that you're going to then go ahead and benchline and determine what does your effective headcount need to look like given the things that we're pursuing. The nice thing about it within Deltek Vision, on opportunity by opportunity basis, you determine how do you think that revenue is going to impact your firm provided you win the work. It might be a design build project where maybe a lot of your services are front loaded or maybe a lot of your services are back loaded. We don't want to take every single opportunity and just straight line spread it across its timeline. We want to give you the facility to go ahead and truly determine and influence what buckets of revenue will this particular project influence. Is it the next 3 months, next 6, next 12, next 18? So on an opportunity by opportunity basis, you determine how the anticipated revenue is then going to be spread. What you're also able to go ahead and do is, this is going to be a system of record after time. So all the demographics you store here. What type of project is it? Where did we learn about it? How many marketing days did we spend pursuing it? These are all things that's going to give you greater insight into where do you need to focus as an organization? Where have you performed well from a business development front? And where do we probably want to go ahead and invest future monies into? Because this is going to give you the visibility into what your win rate is and the success you've had in each respective vertical or area that you've gone ahead and pursued. And then the other idea is when we think about projects that we want to pursue, we always have to get an understanding of whether or not it's going to be financially viable for the firm to pursue it. Oftentimes, we go ahead and pursue work just to get in good with a client because we know there's massive projects coming downstream with that client. This facility here gives you the ability to go ahead and just take a quick pass at what we think we're going to be able to do the project at and what it's going to do for us in the form of a gross margin or gross margin percentage. So if I say these are the different phases of work we'll find ourselves in, these are the resources that we're going to be doing it with, and let me go ahead and just modify a couple of billing rates here real quickly. We can come over here and then get an understanding of, well, knowing what we know now, the consultants that we'll engage with, the expenses that we'll incur, the field crews that we may put on this job site. If I come up here and click refresh, it's going to give me an understanding that you're standing to make about 15.5% from a gross margin perspective, or close to $181,000. Again, visibility into whether or not we want to go ahead and pursue this. The final thing I'm going to touch upon here within opportunities is something that is a true strength and one of the true ways that we differentiate ourselves as an organization. It's the configurability we put around our application. This tab here is not a standard shift tab. It's something that I went ahead and defined using simple configuration. But it's a concept that every single firm goes through. It's the whole idea of a go and no-go analysis. It's the idea that before we actually pursue a piece of work, we want to go ahead and do some gut checking. We want to ask ourselves a number of questions that determine whether or not this is something we're truly wired to win. So you can go ahead and go through a process where, have we done prior work with them and has it been profitable? Yes. Do they pay their bills on time? Average. How did we learn about this? Was it advertised somewhere? So based upon the questions that you constantly are asking yourselves to help determine whether or not you're wired to win it, that facility and that function can be stored within Vision through just doing simple configuration. The beauty of that is this is often done in some disjointed Excel spreadsheet, might be done on the back of a cocktail napkin, whatever it is, it's now being housed all within the same framework, all within the same place that people can go ahead and see it, and people can go ahead and make the determination of whether or not they want to action this pursuit and try and win this project. And again, that's the underlying value prop, is we don't have information in any other disparate system when we want to come back into one place to find out what are we doing, how are we performing, what are we pursuing. It's all Deltek Vision, whether you're a project manager, a business development person, a member of accounting, or just a time and expense user. All those facilities are essentially stored here within Vision. So now we want to evolve it. Let's assume that we've won this project. So we're taking the next stage and jumping into that next process within that project lifecycle. So we've gone out of the place where we're trying to win the work. We now have won it, so we need to go ahead and execute on the work. So one of the true strengths here is, again, the integration that exists between taking that record and then just automatically moving it along in its evolution. So I'm going to hyperlink into the part of the application that we then start to do project setup and project execution. While I do that, one of the important things to emphasize, one of the important things to realize is when you come up to project creation and you want to create something new, 9 times out of 10, our clients today are not creating it from scratch. They're creating it from something that already exists. We do a lot of rinse and repeat work in this industry. So when we want to go ahead and create something from another part of the application, it's all just driven by a series of drop-down lists and a series of templates. So this ensures that there's less data entry, there's less setup, and there's greater knowledge share. So here, we're just in the confines of that project. We now can go ahead and see that same organizational structure that we saw earlier. So that organizational structure is laid across the entire application as one of the key tenets as to how you look at your business from either a general ledger perspective or a project financial perspective. The other idea is when we look at our projects, some might be complex, some might be quick hits, some might be very easy. On a project-by-project basis, you determine how do you want to go ahead and break those projects down from a work breakdown structure perspective. We'll go ahead and support 3 levels of work breakdown structure. Each component of that work breakdown structure has its own unique characteristics and can drive its own unique behavior. Meaning, we can build site analysis completely different than how we build program analysis. We can recognize overhead differently on code analysis than we do with, say, bidding and negotiations. One could be a fixed fee, one could be time and materials. Each component of the project has the ability in the facility to be treated very uniquely within the confines of that unique work breakdown structure element. We're also supporting multiple currencies. So if you need to go ahead and budget and cost it in, say, US dollars, but the client's actually in France, and you need to bill them in euro, we'll go ahead and support a fully multi-company and multi-currency environment. And then what often happens is a number of project managers are responsible for getting new jobs set up. So what we typically see happening is they'll fill out a project initiation sheet inside of Excel. They'll print that Excel document off, hand it to accounting, and then accounting will pound it into the accounting application. We completely eliminate that process through the series of checkboxes, workflow, and alerting. So the idea is the project manager can then come in here, set up the project number. We then have the facility to go ahead and fire off a number of workflows and approval mechanisms to ensure that this project isn't available for prime time usage until someone perhaps in accounting or in operations checks off one of these three checkboxes to push that data then out to the rest of the end users. The other thing that we're doing here is contract management. The idea of contract management is our fees evolve constantly. We get additional services. There's amendments that are associated to the contract. There's scope creep. So what we do here is we start to track all the different iterations that essentially created that fee. So we know the entire genesis of how do we get from 900,000 to 1.2 million. We'll be able to go ahead and see perhaps all the additional services that got layered into that contract as that contract went through its project lifecycle. And as I hover on each one of these respective line items, you'll get to see how we actually allocating those monies out into the respective pieces of that project, and essentially who brought in that work. So if you ever commission your people or you comp people based upon the sales that they're making, we then have each individual line item has a person who's then associated to bringing in that chunk or piece of work. So let's step back for a second. So we've really kind of looked at everything so far through the lens of a financial person. Let's just go ahead and put our project manager hat on for 1 second. One of the things that we do very well, and this is a true differentiator for us, is it's the whole idea of social collaboration around your projects. So many times we farm out 50%, 60% of our fee. We want to go ahead and have a greater process flow. We want to go ahead and have greater task management. We want to have greater collaboration around the entire project creation process. So one of the things that we do very well is we have a fully embedded task management and social collaboration tool associated to the projects that you're executing on. We call it Kona. And again, within our website, you can go ahead and find more information around Kona. But as I briefly touch upon this, what we've now done is we've linked out to my Kona site for one of my particular projects. So as I come over here and I click on Spaces, one of the things I can do is I can say, well, do you know what? I'm really interested in the project I was just in. There it is, the Benson Research Lab. And what we're doing here is we're able to go ahead and see all the functions and all the things we're trying to execute on as a both internal and external team. Here's all the people that I've actually invited to this. And you'll see anyone who's actually tagged as a guest. Those are people who are essentially outside of our firewall. They're not part of our firm. They're a third-party consultant. They're a contractor. They're someone who's having an active role in the job, but it's not on our payroll. What we're also being able to do here is we're able to go ahead and see, almost like from a dashboard perspective, what conversations are going on right now. What tasks do we have to go ahead and execute on? How many files do we have associated to this project? And each one of these respective tabs then gives you some insight into the things that we are collaborating around, the conversations that are happening, the documents that we are sharing through our Kona site. Here's a good indication of what the tasks look like. So as you start to think about who needs to go ahead and update the drawing sheets, what are the visual preferences we have, we can go ahead and launch polls, we can make people must complete certain tasks, we can delegate tasks out to people. And really one of the things that I think is so great about it is this is now giving you visibility into perhaps what are the things and what are the events that we're going ahead and trying to accomplish. So if you're kind of, let me just look back into the future here to get a little visibility into some of the events. But one of the things that we're able to do is if you have a number of different drawing packages that are going out, you have a number of different meetings, you have a number of different review sessions that are all kind of occurring quite rapidly in your project's timeline, you can go ahead and here and get a full pictorial view into perhaps where do the bottlenecks exist. If I saw that I had 16 different things all happening on June 3rd here, I would know that there might be a resource constraint. There might be an issue within my project to get everything done according to that deadline. So whether, again, you're internal or external to the project, you're having full visibility into all the conversations, all the tasks, all the files and events that are then transpiring around this project and its ultimate execution. The other component that I want to go ahead and share with you, again, thinking like a project manager, is really the idea that as project managers, we're not in the office all that much. We're maybe on job sites. We're traveling to try and win the next piece of work. We're bouncing around trying to figure out how do we keep our clients happy. And while we do that, we still have a day job. Our day job is the successful and positive execution on our projects. And one of the things that we've done here is we've gone ahead and created a front-end tool for our project managers to use that is completely mobile. It was rendered for an iPad. It's optimized for an iPad or some kind of tablet use. It's platform and browser agnostic. So, wherever you are, whatever your device of choice is, you'll be able to come in here and get a good indication of how well is my project performing. All fully integrated with Vision. So as you come over here, you can go ahead and see the black amount represents what we spent so far. The blue amount is actually representing what we're going to spend from an estimate to complete amount. And that red line across the top is actually illustrating what we're allowed to spend from a contract value. So if you know that the blue and the black is illustrating the entire project life cycle, and you're under that red line, everything's great. If you want to go ahead and see how your project has actually evolved over time for budget, actual, contract amount, baseline, what you've then planned, what you've also earned, you can go ahead and see how this has actually evolved over the project timeline. If you're a fantastic project manager, you have insight into where you are from a receivables perspective. So right now, we know that this client owes us $127,000. Maybe we don't do any more work until we get that money collected. I have visibility into that data straight from here, off of my iPad, off of my tablet, without having to ask someone else. And again, it's truly from a mobility perspective, rendering me that data. And also, where am I from a WIP perspective? I have a bunch of monies that are starting to accumulate that I haven't been able to bill this client. So again, some visibility, a little transparency into what's going on inside of the job. I click on the planning tab here. The planning tab is then giving me visibility into where inside of my project, in all its unique elements of work breakdown structure, are we over or under against what we originally planned. And then quick, fast, and easy, if I want to be a great employee and actually submit my timesheet on time without having to come into the office or VPN into the office, I can come in here and do it within my Navigator instance. So the concept here is, as a project manager, this is where we want to go ahead and see those project managers interacting with, because this front-end tool was designed specifically for that audience. Okay. So let me just get back into the project record and show you one more thing that we've done for the project manager. And it's a lean tool, but one of the things that I think is pretty important and pretty powerful about it is it's just one more place that a project manager can go and not necessarily have to rely on someone else feeding him or her information. So within their project record, they can come up here, click on Project Review. They can get some good snapshot data into, where are we from a, budget versus actual perspective. If you never let them see cost data, it will be automatically hidden. You can see where they are from a percent complete. You can also go ahead and see where they are from an AR perspective. But the true value of this tab here is they have visibility into previewing the invoice. So if that project manager takes a proactive approach in collecting monies, here's where they can go ahead and take a view into what that invoice looked like when it was sent to the client, and they can then go ahead and have that very simple apples-to-apples conversation with their contact and say, here's the invoice, this is what we're looking to get reimbursed for. If you don't rehab it, I can actually send it in an email, PDF it to you straight from within this project review function. And what they're ultimately going to want to do as a project manager, once they go ahead and send that data over to their client and say, please pay this, they're going to then be able to receipt a comment against it. So they'll be able to record the collection attempts that they made. So when all this data aggregates back into the accounting department and the CFO and the CEO, they'll be able to see that the project manager on this engagement is actually very proactive in trying to collect their monies based upon the comments that he or she is then storing. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and transition out of the execution part of this project and then really focus on, the budgeting concept and the forecasting and resourcing of this. So again, there's a drill down webcast available on the website around project planning. I insist almost for you guys to explore that. It's really intuitive. It's really a powerful tool. And one of the things that's so great about our project planning application is it's real-time integrated. It's everywhere else within the system. And then you'll see that later on in this demonstration. So real quick, what I just want to do is kind of show you that this particular project, no matter how detailed you want to make the work breakdown structure, we're starting to talk about, really from a planning perspective, who is working on it when, and what's it meaning in the form of hours, job to date hours, what that means in the form of planned build amounts, where we are from a percent complete, what do we still expect from an estimate at completion perspective, what did we originally bill for, or what did we originally plan to bill for from a baseline, and really what's expected of us from this point moving forward. So it's all about visibility into not only at the micro level, down at the resource level, but roll-ups into the higher macro levels as to how well this project is performing in each individual component. You come over here to the right-hand side, you just see a nice simple Gantt chart spelling out where are these people working, where are these particular assignments or deliverables actually hoping to end, and how well are we actually doing budget versus actual. You'll also know here we're not only budgeting and allocating resources at the name level, we're also using placeholders or generic resources. So if I come in here and I know the civil engineer that I just hired is now called, let's say I'll call him William Apple, I can come in here, plug him in as William Apple, and just do a quick view into, well, what kind of utilization does he perhaps have, knowing that there was a civil engineer deficiency inside of our business. So now you can go ahead and see, quick, fast, and easy, where are all the places that people are dying to have him on the job, and does he have the capacity to take on the workload I then just assigned him into. You'll also notice we have the ability to budget every single penny, euro, crown, krona, whatever it is inside of your opportunities and inside of your projects. So here we can go ahead and see what kind of expenses we anticipate to lay out, what kind of third-party consultants are we then budgeting for, and what I really want to go ahead and be able to see is just from a snapshot view, I originally budgeted this project at $671,000. Now, based upon all the scope creep and different changes and all those other things, it's right around almost $1.2 million. So far, job to date, in real time, we've incurred $420,000. Estimate to complete, we need almost another $100,000. And at the end of it, we're going to go ahead and probably finish right around $518,000 if things go according to plan. That's $680,000 in surplus from what my budget is as it's being spelled out in my plan today. So it just gives you some nice visibility into whether this project's a day old or 3 years old. Where's this thing going to end up at the end of the day? The byproduct of this detailed project planning is great and impressive visualization or insight into how well your people are then being utilized. So if I come over to resource utilization real quick, you'll then be able to see, what does my team look like? Who's doing what? Where are these people actually allocated to work? Are they working on things that are billable or non-billable? How many people are actually requesting them but not actually hard booking them into their projects? So this is now going to go ahead and give you, whether it be your team, your office, your discipline, what are your people doing and how utilized are they? And by looking at this legend, you can then go ahead and get some great insight into, are they someone who's overutilized or underutilized? Are they working on billable projects or non-billable projects? So the nice thing about this is when you come in here and you go ahead and look at Kyle, you have the visibility into the fact that, you know, in this time frame, he's doing pretty well, 110% utilized. We'll let that slide. According to our schedule for him, that's properly utilized in his scenario. But here, where he's 274% utilized, there's an issue. So we can go ahead and do a couple of things. We can start freeing them up, where we can go ahead and move these hours to someone perhaps we know. It looks like Laura Getson just above him can take on the work, so I'm going to go ahead and just dump those hours into Laura Getson. The beauty of that is this is now doing a reallocation within their timesheet. They've received an alert. The project plan is being updated, all from within that one simple modification I made here. Or maybe I need to go ahead and start freeing him up some more. Kyle cannot take on all this work. So I'm going to go ahead and start parking some of these hours into someone else who could perhaps take it on. So we have the facility to start looking for, why did we choose Kyle in the first place? And what are all the skill sets that he has that we need to try and find in someone else? So you have the facility to come in here and search the entire database across whatever skill set that you have to ensure that these people are actually giving you, or you're able to query the best people for the given assignment. Or if you really want to, you can go ahead and just move the hours into a generic bucket. So you can come in here and say, you know what, I need to just dump it into a generic resource. And we saw from the earlier screen that he's a civil engineer, and I need to go ahead and take 50% of these hours away from him. So we can go ahead and now start doing that split out to get him into a more healthy and normal utilization ratio. Okay. And really the final place that I want to go ahead and finish up here is how everyone's then going to access this system from a time and expense perspective. So as I come into timesheets, one of the things that I want you to be fully aware of is this may be the only spot that people are then recording time. They can go ahead and record time within their Navigator instance. We have a touch platform that allows you to go ahead and essentially do your timesheet from any iOS device or any Android device. And we also have some apps available in the Google Play Store and also inside of the iTunes Store to go ahead and do it within your smartphones. But let's go ahead and just assume for a second that we have we want to go ahead and open an existing timesheet just to see that there's some data in it. And this is kind of how we're progressing through our timesheet here. So one of the things that we're able to go ahead and do is it's all just a smart lookup. So if I know I'm working on a park project, I can type in park and it'll show me all the parks. If I know I'm working on something that starts with the number 106, it will give me everything that starts in the 106. But the beauty of it is, you know, this is a timesheet. It's pretty straightforward. But the beauty of it is there's so many things that we're doing from an integration perspective out to that end user from within the timesheet. I can come up to the show menu and I can see from a ratio perspective how well am I performing year to date, month to date, and currently against where I'm supposed to be at a target level. We find that if you empower people to have this data readily available, they'll take more ownership in being a more utilized resource. Also, from a show perspective, if you want to go ahead and ensure that they have enough flexi time or PTO time or sick time available before they actually fill out their timesheet, we can go ahead and push all that benefit accrual information out to that end user with their most up-to-date current balance and enforce whether or not we allow them to go in the red or not in the red as it relates to the hours they're trying to associate to one of those benefit categories. And then probably the most impressive piece is if I come up to show, I can say, my project manager's already budgeted me somewhere. Show me where I've been budgeted. So we can now see that I've been budgeted in 2 projects. These are the hours that they're expecting me to do in this timesheet period. This is what I have remaining. This is what I performed so far. So the nice component of this is I can come up here and say copy from planning. And what it does is, based upon how my project manager has then budgeted me, it fills that entire line item out for me immediately. So now all I have to do as an end user is come in here and just record the hours that I then spent. Truly powerful. What this is doing for our project managers today is it's ensuring that they're sending out more accurate invoices. If I budget into a piece of this project, we're then able to ensure that your time is getting placed into the right piece of that project, which then ultimately creates a cleaner looking invoice. And the final component that I want to share with you is really inside the expense report. So within the expense report, one of the things that I think is truly impressive and one of the things that I think is a true differentiator for us is if I come up to one of my existing expense reports, not only are we able to go ahead and factor in exchange rates on the fly and make sure that you're getting reimbursed for the appropriate amount, but we're driving the behavior of where these things ultimately reside based upon how we configure your system. So based upon the category you choose and the project that you allocate it to, it's going to determine where inside of the ledger it is ultimately going to reside. So the person who incurred the expense is actually recording it into the appropriate bucket. It's no longer having to go through the accounting team to find where does this ultimately need to reside in the ledger. You can come in here and say, well, I did meals. I maybe incurred a meal in Canadian dollars, so the system now knows what kind of the exchange rate we're looking to find based upon the day you incurred that meal. And watch what happens when I go ahead and choose an overhead project to the general ledger account number. So if I go ahead and just choose the simple one, it knows to now route that into a non-reimbursable expense account because it's not billable. If I move that back into the Benson Research Lab project, it's going to go ahead and now allocate it back into that reimbursable expense account. If I tell the system, oh no, we can't bill this, it now knows to move it into the direct expense account. So based upon how we then interact with our expense report, it then drives the ultimate behavior back into the ledger. And most importantly, you'll see here, you have the facility to come in here and actually upload documents to the individual line item or to the individual expense report. What that does is it indexes that particular expense line item to a document or to an attachment and flows that information automatically out to billing. The beauty of that is we're now creating more paperless invoices. We're now able to go ahead and electronically distribute our invoices to our clients because everything that we have received into the system, whether it be from an AP perspective or an expense reporting system perspective, we have the ability to go ahead and associate backup receipts to those transactions and then create those transactions as a PDF view electronically when we distribute our invoices to our client. And then the other thing that I think is important is underlying everything that we do inside of Vision, we have a very robust and very configurable reporting engine. Out of the box, it's anywhere from 250 to 300 reports and sub-reports that are configured with our 30 years of experience for professional services organizations. So a number of the reporting needs that you'll have today will be driven through a series of checkboxes and just configuration choices. But we talked about reporting here. Everything that we're doing here within the confines of a dashboard, those are reports also. So we could spend some time inside of reporting, but one of the things that I would go ahead and encourage you to do is look at the other modules that we made available within our webcast, and then you can always come back to Deltek Vision and contact us. So here inside of our website, this is our landing page where you can come and contact us if you're new to Deltek. Certainly reach out to us. Let us know if you're interested in seeing more of Vision 7.1, and we can go ahead and explore all the other areas of the application that we haven't touched upon today. So feel free to hit us up at deltek.com on our Contact Us page, or if you're an existing client, reach out to your project manager and let us know how we can go ahead and help you, or even your account manager. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.